Whoa, T. Higgins expected out. I say again, Cincinnati Bengals T. Higgins expected out for the upcoming Texans game. I'm Lance Sports Social Live, and on this episode, we'll discuss some Texans key injuries, Cincinnati key injuries, and the team rankings for both teams, and mixing a little bit of key factors for Sunday's game. Lance Sports Social Live, subscribe, like, share. Let's get into it. How's everybody doing? I'm Lance Hayes with Sports Social Live. Subscribe, like, share for football and boxing digital content. Thanks for coming to the page. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for all the new followers. So we're going to get right into it. The Texans have some key injuries, and there's a lot of them. The Texans have 23 of their 53-man roster with some type of injury going into the Week 10 battle against the Cincinnati Bengals. 23 of 53. That is crazy. That's wild. It's gross. It's atrocious. And the Texans have constantly dealt with adversity. And this is the injury bug. And the injury bug knows no bounds, right? So I'm looking forward to see how D'Amico and Slowick, Stroud, and the rest of the team are able to conquer this adversity. You have names like Will Anderson Jr., Laremy Tunsil, Nico Collins, all up and down the injury report. We already know we lost the kicker in Fairbairn. Ward was out. Stewart went to the IR. So how will the Texans battle adversity going into the week? More of that. More to come with that. I'm interested to see how the Texans battle that adversity and go through that. So now I'm going to roll into the Bengals injury report. The Bengals injury report is interesting because some big news for the Bengals. You have T. Higgins expected out. T. Higgins is a number 2 receiver for the Bengals, but he could be a number 1 on anybody else's team. He is expected out of the game, and that's one of Joe Burrow's weapons for the offense in the passing game. Jamar Chase is banged up. He's not expected out. He was at practice. He was limited, but he was at practice and able to practice for the Bengals. So I expect to see him in the game, but he is not 100%. Neither are the Texans. How does that impact both teams? My thoughts, the Texans will be okay because we getting Stingley back. With Stingley coming back, they'll be able to kind of show a number 1 on a number 1 receiver, a number 1 DB on a number 1 receiver. If Stingley's 100% and Chase is 80%, then it gives us more of a chance. But I believe that the Bengals firepower is there. That firepower will always be there. They'll have some issues, but they'll be fine. Joe Burrow will be able to kind of finagle around that. Texans defensive issues, especially with Will Anderson out on that front 7, will be a concern of mine. I want to see how they're able to remedy that. Maybe we get some of those front 7 guys to make some pressure and get Joe Burrow off the line, but he's great off the line when he doesn't have that passing lane. So those key injuries, Chase being limited, Higgins expected out, will be interesting. It's kind of hard to combat. We had 23 injured for the Houston Texans, and they have 8. So we almost 3 times their injury list, and that is crazy. That's crazy. I don't understand how that's even a thing. But is that an injury? Is that a strength coach thing? Is it something going on? Something in the Houston water? How do we have so many injuries? What's going on? But you got to give them props for having that bend but don't break mentality. D'Amico has been doing a great job of providing a good infrastructure for the mentality of the team. You see these guys wanting to get back. Early in the year, you'll see them like just laughing and giggling on the sideline, but now they seem like they want to get back. I love it. Tyus Howard, active on X or Twitter, doing a lot for the team. They want to see the games packed. They want to see things happen. We'll talk about that impact of the fans later on, but let's talk about the rankings. The Texans are doing decent, and it feels great to say that the Texans are doing decent in rankings. they're exceeding my expectations. I really didn't have much. I just wanted to lay a good infrastructure for this new regime, this new phase of the Texans. So that infrastructure is being built. And the Texans are at number 18 in the NFL Power Rankings, while the Bengals are at number 7. The Texans are doing great in offensive passing. We're number 4 in offensive passing, and the Bengals are number 18. That's due in part to CJ Stroud's phenomenal play, and he's smart with the ball, his composure. That we only have one interception for the year, and that's great stat for us. In defense, we're doing well as well. It's kind of similar for both teams. Both teams do struggle on the defensive side of the ball, with the Bengals being slightly better in some phases of the game, but the Bengals do have a bad run defense. So how will the Texans be able to capitalize off that poor run defense from the Bengals? We don't have a good running game, so it does it matter? Will Singletary be able to go off? Slowick's high on Singletary. He was kind of touted him as one of the best athletes on the team. So do they go Singletary and just try to run the ball down their throat? I would not want to see that. I'd prefer to see a more pass heavy offense like we've been doing. We know we can pass now. We have that confidence. Let's get Schultz active. Let's get Dale active and see what can happen. Let's see what can happen when we get these guys active out there. I want to see, what are your thoughts on these NFL rankings? Do you think the Texans and the Bengals are in the right place? Do you think that we should be higher, lower? Let me know in the comments below. Rolling on to special teams. The key factor of the game, I think, for any game like this one, where you have injuries on both sides of the ball, the key players, and both teams are on the upswing, it comes down to special teams. I think the key factor is special teams. In the special teams game, there we are similar in multiple phases, from kickoff return, kickoff, and punt. But punt return is a phase of the game that I believe the Texans have to do better in. For punt returns, we're at 8 yards for a punt return, which isn't the best. We're at the bottom, toward the bottom of the league, while the Bengals are a little bit ahead of us. That will be the difference in the game, I believe, is that punt return. Can the Texans find a way to have that explosive play on kickoff like they did earlier in the year? Can we find an explosive play on punt return? As a matter of fact, who will be our punt returner? Do you put Dale back there? I don't think you can afford to put him back there. I think he needs to focus on offensive side of the ball and focus on getting open and finding those kind of soft zones. But who's going to be our punt returner? I would like to see us get active on punt return. Hopefully Cam Johnson's able to pin them back deep. But the thing is, we have to be able to cover those punts, and some of those 23 people that are hurt are some of our punt coverage. So how are we able to impact that? In the kicking game, I'm not overly concerned. You do have different tiers of kickers, right? But we just had Daryl Ongwable kick a field goal, and I'm okay if we have a kicker that checks the box. Then after that, we'll get to the nitty gritty. But let's get a kicker in the game. Let's hit those 25, 30-yard field goals that you kind of get down and you expect on those long drives that kind of stall out before the red zone. So special teams will be the difference in the play. You tell me what you think about our special teams play. How can the Texans or Bengals capitalize on a special teams play? Again, this is Lance Hayes, Sports Social Live. I enjoyed this episode, and I'm excited for this weekend. Shout out to all the veterans, my brothers and sisters in arms. May your day be blessed. May your weekend be blessed. Shout out to your families, your dependents who have sacrificed with you as well. Happy Veterans Day weekend to all those members and people out there, and all the veterans who are just struggling. There's a lot of veterans who are struggling out there. So happy Veterans Day to all veterans. I'm Lance Hayes, Sports Social Live. Subscribe, like, share. Until we meet again.